This is Distant Replay.
Well, we finally reached the end of Last Chance U, the basketball series focusing on East LA College. Been a heck of a ride. I'm glad we started this one, Mike, but we now know how everything ends. And gotta say, man, it was a tough episode to watch.
Yeah, it was tough. Even though you knew, we talked about this the whole time we've been doing it, how, we knew this episode was coming. But, you watch 7 episodes and you get kind of, I don't want to say attached in like a dramatic way, but it's like it does what the documentary is supposed to do. It draws you in and you can't help but be really bummed out for these kids in this program.
So we're going to take you through this final episode. Also, where are they now? Now that the show's over, now we can open up our Google and actually start searching some of these guys and figure. Now we get an update from the show, but it's been a little while since this documentary was finished, so we got a few more updates to add to the mix. So we'll do that all today. Again, you can find all our episodes. We've done every single episode of this series so far, plus a lot more documentary, true crime, and then also go back and watch full games on Distant Replay. You can find the website, distantreplaypodcast.com, on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. But make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us wherever it is you listen. We appreciate all the support. Still creeping up on 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Pretty pumped about that. All right, so this show, we pick up conclusion of the playoff game with Allen Hancock. We left, and it was a tight matchup, and we were wondering whether or not they would win the game in advance and then get knocked out by COVID, or if they were just going to get knocked out together and fall short, a team with all the talent in the world. But sometimes, a few head cases, it would kind of things would get off the rails quickly. But this team battles, Mike, and they pull it off. But, man, it was had a little PTSD watching the missed free throws down the stretch, as an Alabama fan who had our team knocked out of the Sweet 16 shooting sub 50% from the free throw line this past NCAA tournament. It's so tough to watch these guys, good athletes too, good players, missing free throws down the stretch.
This was the first time in this series, Ben, where I gave one of these, like when they were missing these free throws.
Yeah, just stop missing your free throws.
What were they, 18 for 35?
Something like that.
Ridiculously bad from the free throw line. And you're thinking, like, when you're watching it, like, man, they're lucky that Allen Hancock never capitalized down the stretch on the missed free throws. But you're just thinking, like, man, they've put in all this work, and this is going to end because of missed free throws. Like, at the time, you didn't realize they were shooting so bad for the game.
Right.
But you're like, you got to be kidding me right now. One of those kind of moments. So definitely tense, but, they ended up pulling it out in the end. So
68-65, they win. With the win, East LA advances to state. Final 8 teams, a great spot to be in, and really on the cusp of accomplishing their goals and everything they've worked for. And a lot of these guys that have been in this program for a year or 2 years that have worked towards this moment, now they finally have their shot. But in the background, Mike, and literally in the background of this episode, we see the news start coming out on Wuhan, right? I think there's one shot they kind of cut to the TV in the background that's just kind of playing in the office, and you see like a list of Wuhan evacuees in the country, like very, very early stages when some people were getting out of China at the time and kind of getting to different countries. And, we started to kind of see it. It takes you back to that moment in March, right, when everything seemed like it wasn't a big deal, but you could kind of see the little pieces of it. Now looking back in retrospect, it's like, oh, God, what was to come?
Yeah, this is just – it got you like when you went back and saw in some of the clips in the moment, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was kind of like startling how little people knew about it then, Mm-hmm. I mean, even look at it now, like I don't think people really have a firm grasp on still,
yeah.
As far as some of the experts. And even back then it was even worse because, the thinking back then was, we'll just let this thing kind of run its course for a couple of weeks and we'll be back up and running.
Right.
Remember, like, I was like, by Easter, everything will be fine.
Yeah, they're like, is it over, or are we going to still be able to kind of make this up down the road somewhere?
Yeah, and we're even before that, This is like the first couple days where no one knows what's going on.
No clue.
When everyone's walking around with no masks, no whatever, 30 cases in the country at that point. And everyone's like, 30 cases? Why are we shutting everything down? There's only 30 cases.
Yeah, and then Coach Mosley's telling us players to wash their hands. Like that was the conversation every day in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you. I washed my hand for that first month or two. I washed my hands to the point where my hands were dried out every day.
Dude, every day, every single day.
Using gloves to pump gas.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
man.
And no
What
one
a
knew.
year.
No one knew what was going on.
What a year.
How are you going to explain that? How are you going to explain a picture of someone wearing gloves pumping gas 25 years from now?
God, hopefully it seems like a foreign scene at that point, Mike. I don't want to go down that path of just discussing where we're headed, but yeah. So you want to see how this all plays out. So these guys are making state, and like everywhere around the country, they're canceling. But like the California JUCO is like one of the last to do it, which is kind of surprising that California was. That these guys, I know they're JUCO, but still, like that you would think this not being a big money maker, they would have pulled the plug on this thing quickly. But they do say, okay, let's get ready to play. They're not gonna be fans in the stands, right? But we're still gonna go make the trip and we're still gonna play games. I'm surprised they even got that far. I don't even remember ever getting to a conversation where they were talking about let's just get rid of fans, let's just play the games in front of nobody. I thought that came.
Yeah, that was
later.
like. Remember that didn't last that long. Remember they tried to do that for like the Big East tournament.
Not really.
They played like one half of one game.
Right. Yeah.
And then it got. The thing is that with the no fans here, it was that to me was a major bump. Before we even get to the point where it's canceled, that was a major bummer for the kids because no fans meant no coaches could come watch them, and they went through how the biggest thing in this is of course you want to win the state tournament. But getting there is equally as big because you have 60 to 80 coaches watching your game. Mm-hmm. So just a bummer in general, even if the event did happen, that there was going to be no one there to watch.
So the tournament was up in, San Francisco? Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But I believe so.
San Jose, somewhere in the Bay Area. They even load up the buses. Like everybody's packed up, ready to make the road trip. And then boom, like literally, like a minute before they're about to take off in the buses and head out of town, Coach Mosley gets the call and then has to go on the bus, tell the guys, hey, this is over. Coach Rob, I think, breaks the news to him. And then they headed everybody off the bus in the locker room. Let's have some final thoughts. It got pretty emotional, man. It was tough to watch, dude. I mean, it takes you back in that moment when everything shut down, but you obviously feel really bad for these guys because it's a little different situation. Many of these guys have more at stake than a lot of other people to what you pointed out in terms of the opportunity that they had in front of them kind of ripped away here. And now they're everything's up in limbo once again. And for like Highler, a guy like Highler who's put in the hard work one more time and is on the cusp of having maybe that breakthrough and then boom, ripped away again. He got emotional locker room and that's a tough conversation to have, but you could see the guys who are really passionate about this team.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mosley's probably used to having like, hey, the season's over conversation.
Yeah.
But not like the season got ripped away from us by an outside force, I mean, I thought he handled the conversation well. I thought he got his point across. The other coaches had some words for the team. And look, I think you got a very genuine, raw reaction out of the players as well.
It was. I don't know why I found it funny, but Joe Hampton being the first to like pack up his stuff. And he was out of the locker room like as soon as coach's speech was done. Now, like he said his goodbyes and, was emotional, like, dapping people up. But I just thought it was funny that he was just basically like, all right, peace,
Yeah. Very Joe Hampton. But the what was crazy about this, Ben, that they point out in this episode is, and you don't think of this because I'm not a basketball recruit, but that with this whole COVID stuff, what also went away was like their ability to visit the colleges that were considering them.
Yeah.
Like
right.
go on official visits. Like that's wild to me. So you have a situation where we're going to get to in a second where these kids ended up, but they couldn't go visit the schools that they were thinking of going to, and vice versa. Like some of these coaches had very little exposure to meeting these kids.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of what a bizarre situation. But the players have to. The schools have to recruit.
They got to do it. Yeah, it's been weird for everybody. In every kind of facet, we just kind of get a little taste of what it's like in JUCO, where we're not really thinking about how that all plays out, but you kind of see the experience and how it affected these guys individually here. And we kind of see life after basketball. So like the season ends, and it's kind of all right, you guys, we love you, take care. You were the best team we played, and then fast forward 5 months, this takes us into towards the end of the summer, getting close to the start of the new school year. We kind of learn about where these guys are. So kind of update on, what happened since. So we had Joe Hampton, who we care about, obviously high on the list here in terms of where he would end up. Long Beach State dropped him an offer, and he seemed to be pretty fired up about that, which, obviously not too far from where he is currently. And, I mean, pretty cool place to go to college. And they've had a little history at Long Beach State. So, I mean, I think overall, pretty positive outcome for Joe.
Yeah, positive outcome for Joe. It's where he wanted to go. Look, and I didn't realize, again, the whole timeline with Joe was fuzzy to me, but if I'm piecing it together correctly, I think Joe's like 23 years old.
Yeah, I mean, so probably somewhere in there. He's got to be pretty close.
So, I mean, he's fortunate to get another chance. I think in the end he realizes that, and hopefully he capitalizes on his opportunity at Long Beach State.
Yeah, he was originally class of 2016 recruiting class coming out of high school. So, yeah, we're 5 years now out of high school for him, and he was a junior at Long Beach this year, and actually went. So we'll kind of update on where they are too, along with the documentary provides. But actually went and looked. He actually had a decent year at Long Beach this year. Did you see his numbers?
I didn't. What were they?
He finished. He was the starter on the team. He averaged around 10.5 points per game. Averaged, let's see how many rebounds. About 4 rebounds as well. Had 15 blocks on the year. So, I mean, overall, pretty good year.
Yeah, and he's got another year. So.
Yeah, which is crazy. He still has another year of eligibility left for this Long Beach State team. So, I don't know. I mean, I expect him to play a bigger role. We're recording this before the NBA draft, obviously. I doubt he turns pro. I've not researched that far to see if that's even in the conversation.
Or he could always go pro, but not in the NBA.
Right. He could always go to the G League or overseas. So I think that's another question because, as you mentioned, like as you get older, your window obviously closes there as well. But the team did not make the tournament for Long Beach there as well. What about KJ Allen?
Yep. Did you see the most recent news with him, though?
I did, as like the day before we recorded this episode.
Yeah, he did. Yep. So he flipped his commitment from USC to Texas Tech. Which
is wild because I don't know what he did the last season, right? Because this ended the 20 season. So the 2020-2021 season, he just, I guess, missed altogether. I don't know. I hadn't researched that deep. Did you see that? Do you know what happened in the year between East LA and this commitment to Texas Tech?
I do not know. But, all right, so the Texas Tech coach left Texas Tech, right? Beard?
Chris Beard, yep.
Right, who is their new coach? Is that why he went to Texas Tech?
I have no idea why. Yeah, I don't know why
he must have a connection. He must have a connection to that coach, whoever the new coach is.
Well, I don't know.
Mark Adams is the coach.
Yeah, whoever that is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess there's a connection there. I don't really know. I hadn't seen the details of it, but it's just kind of odd how you would think he's an LA guy. USC had a really good year too, made a pretty deep run in the tournament. Not that Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech's been a really good program, but now you lose a guy that kind of turned that program around, and now he's here. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting though that he ended up there. I'm kind of curious about what happened over the last year. Mike, was he just? I mean, did he sit out because of COVID? I mean, that definitely could have been the case.
Yeah, I can't find anything.
Yeah, very interesting. DeShaun Highler, your boy DeShaun, Sacramento State. He landed. Not a bad outcome for him. Got that D1 scholarship that he wanted.
Yeah, exactly. And look, is it a step down from UTEP to Sacramento State? Yeah, I believe it is. But again, he's a little bit older too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if he was at UTEP for at least a year, right?
Right.
And then he spent 2 years at East LA.
He's also a 2016 graduate, so same as Hampton.
Yeah, so knowing that, I think these guys are really fortunate to end up Division I.
You act like 21's old, Mike. Come on.
No, it's not 20. Yeah, it's 20.
22,
I
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, 22.
Well, he played in 8 games for Sacramento State this past year. Didn't play in the final 11 games for whatever reason, but he averaged 5 points, 1.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, about a steal, and about 20 minutes per game. So not a bad season overall, and he'll have one more year with Sacramento State. And I think him and his girlfriend are still together from what I saw. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Always good news, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Malik Muhammad, your boy Malik, who they questioned his work ethic week in, week out, but a lot of talent, ended up at Central Michigan.
Yeah, I think is kind of zeroed in on Central Michigan. That school was mentioned in the season a couple times. How'd he end up? His stats?
Played in 19 games, started 14 games for Central Michigan, 5.5 points, 5 7.5 rebounds, led the team in block shots, and was second in the MAC in block shots. So not a bad year.
Yeah, no, not a bad year at all.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised. The team finished 7-16. They didn't have a great year, but still, I think all these guys had a very positive year. I think they could have pretty good senior years potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got to remember. Yeah, it's a good point. All these guys have another year left.
Any kind of takeaways from how this all played out and where these guys ended up?
No, I think that's what I expected. That KJ Allen would go to the go top as far as a Power 5 conference, right? I think we knew he was going to go Power 5. And I thought the other big guys would go mid-major, which I think they did, right? I mean, Muhammad went to Central Michigan, Hampton to Long Beach State. I don't think a surprise there. And then you had some of the other reserve forwards and Highler go kind of lower Division I. I mean, two of the guys did go to Chicago State, which isn't terrible.
Yeah, not terrible.
Yeah.
So some pretty good talent overall for the team. And then for the coaches, Mosley stuck at home. He even commented on his weight gain and the big beard he grew up during. I think we all grew a beard. I don't know if you did, Mike, but most of us grew a beard in quarantine at some point, just to kind of let ourselves go in terms of like upkeep and manicuring ourselves day to day since we're working from home. But
yeah, he looked totally different with the beard, by the way.
He did. He really did. But they did not have a junior college season. I did not realize that.
Yeah, neither did I. That's a bummer too,
Dude, God, it sucks for those coaches, man. But they're all apparently still there gearing up for a new season, and I'm assuming, I don't know if it's safe to assume that California's going to have a JUCO season this year. What do we think?
I think it's safe to assume this upcoming season, yeah, they're going to have a season.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And those guys are all back, and hopefully, I don't know if we'll see these guys again, Mike, in terms of on Netflix or not, but I enjoyed this docuseries on these guys. I'm glad there was a positive outcome after the season ended, but man, this team would have liked to see how they would have done in the state if they would have pulled it off, because they definitely had all the talent. And I think you look back on all these guys ended up, a bunch of D1 guys. I mean, I think some of these top JUCOs are like that, where they produce a bunch of D1 guys, but even somebody like at KJ's level, we'll see how it all plays out, because I think there's still some question marks about whether or not he'll actually finish out his career. But there's some really good. This team was loaded, and they had all the tools, coaches and players, to pull this thing off.
Yeah, one of the great what ifs. In
one of the great what ifs.
Yeah, you have. Hey, what if Drew Brees was a member of the Dolphins, and then what if East LA played the state tournament? It's kind of like they're kind of like neck and neck. No, but it's one of those things where I give the we've talked a lot about the people who edited this series throughout, maybe questioning them a little bit or wondering kind of how they frame things. I thought, given the circumstances, they put together a really nice last episode and put a bow on it as best they could. So I give them credit.
Yeah, I don't know whose idea this was to film East LA this season, but man, they struck gold with everything that happened. And the team they had, the players they had, and then the way this season played out. I mean, it's not what we wanted to see, but it made for very compelling TV.
Yeah, for sure. You're exactly right. Whoever, I don't know who, is it like The Real World, where the person who puts together the cast is like the unsung hero? Whoever that person is did a great job.
Oh, man. Well, let's close it out on that note, Mike. We got plenty more documentaries coming up. What's next on the list?
Next week, we're going to go into NFL draft mode. So we're going to do a recap of the Elway to Marino 30 for 30 documentary on the 1983 NFL draft. So
you cherish
next week
NFL
is draft week. So, we're going to at least have 2 draft related episodes coming out next week.
You love it. Oh, you love it.
I do.
You're fired up. All right. Well, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Just a Replay. We got more games, more true crime as well, still on the horizon. So wherever you listen to, Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, or YouTube, hit subscribe, like us, give us a review, rating, leave a comment. We'd all appreciate all that, right, Mike?
We always appreciate it. Like I always say, you guys keep listening, and we'll keep pumping out these episodes. Appreciate you guys, and until next time.